I find it harder and harder for every year to get out in the winter, even though I know this kind of stuff awaits. Can't complain, but it's gone as far as I'm serious, but it's gone. I can't seem to get anything recorded out on the ride nowadays. But it's one thing I really want to get better at, recording more outside, show off this beautiful land and what kind of riding you can do here. But for this video, I will have to do it here in the bike room again. Apparently I can't do this without notes, so yeah. The plan is to do a little bit of a recap video of my open up that I built up at the beginning of 2019 and answer a few questions I've been getting about the bike and the parts, with a bit of a long-term perspective. I also want to briefly mention a couple of other gear pieces that I've been getting a lot of questions about, but I haven't done any full videos on. If you didn't know, this current open up is actually the second open up I've been riding. The one I built up in January was actually a crash replacement for the little accident I had at the end of 2018. That is this frame you can see here. That went to heaven or up on the wall. But anyway, the two main new parts that went on the new build was the Easton EC90 SL cranks and the 3T Superghiaia gravel handlebars. So I think that will be a good place to start. The cranks themselves I have had no issues with at all. They are cranks. When you push on them, they will propel your bike forward. No issues there. I read some people having problems with the pedal thread insert coming loose, but nothing like that on my bike. The Easton BB, on the other hand, I had that pretty substantial bearing drag. I eventually ended up swapping that Easton BB for the token one that I made this video about. On that video, I got a few comments about other people having the similar experience with the Easton BB. So it might be something going on there. I don't know. It could have been me just messing up the whole installation procedure, but there seems like I'm not the only one. I'm definitely not a bearing engineer or someone with a lot of knowledge in that area. I should have someone like Hambini take a look at it maybe. The token BB though has been excellent, no problems at all, still spins super smooth, so happy with that. No issues, no strange noises, just pure pedaling bliss. Moving along to the 3T Superghiaia handlebars. I absolutely love these bars. Since this is the only bike I have, I use it for road riding and gravel, and I always prefer to have really narrow bars for the road, or really narrow. My 40s are like the sweet spot for me, and with these 3T gravel bars, I have that 40 spacing at the hoods, but in the drops I go up to, what was it now, 48. So I still have that really nice stability when going down in the drops on really rough stuff. And the flare profile is also a bit special compared to most gravel bars out there. The flare actually doesn't start until below the actual shift lever. So the levers will actually be pretty straight like a normal road bar, and then you get the flare out. And in this 40 size, the flare is parallel to the bike. The flares on the bigger size of these bars is a bit different though, so that might be a good thing to check out if you're thinking about these bars. One thing that these bars are not is very stiff. They have plenty of flex, especially in the drops, which I really prefer actually. Going over really rough stuff in the drops, you can really feel the bars shaving off a lot of vibrations. So I actually love that, but I imagine a sprinter will probably hate these bars for that same reason. So let's talk about tires. I put on 3 pairs of different new tires on my 2 sets of wheels during the last year. It started with the Gravelking SK 650B by 48 on my DT Swiss gravel wheels. Then I got my 32 Gravelking slick tires on my Extralite wheels, which I most recently swapped out for the new Schwalbe PRO Ones. in the 30mm size, and I haven't had a single puncture on either of these tires. The only puncture I had last year was my old Compass switchback heels. That was the tire I swapped out for the Gravelking SKs. And those Gravelkings has been so damn fun to ride. And I got that little extra confidence going over really rough stuff compared to my old Compass tires, or now they're called Rene Hers, right? Because those were slick tires, super nice on paved roads and on like nicer or easier or smoother gravel. But as soon as I went downhill on really rough stuff, I always felt a little bit worried about those tires. The Gravelkings though has been awesome, super fun to ride. They're definitely slower and heavier on tarmac, but that still didn't stop me from doing, I think it was a 200k ride. That was probably about 80% on paved roads with one big ass gravel climb in the middle. That was a fun ride. I need to record more of those kind of rides. Get into it. I haven't had a crazy amount of riding on those tires though. In total it's about 1200 Ks I think I have on them. The front tire still looks pretty new, to be honest. The rear tires shows a bit more wear, but nothing out of the ordinary. So I'm pretty happy with this still. They will probably last me another season for sure. But as with all Gravelking tires, the main thing that makes these stand out for me is the price. They're so damn cheap compared to a lot of other tires. So the 32mm slick Gravelkings on my Extralite, I didn't really think much of these tires at the beginning, to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of that brown sidewall. I wish they would be more tan, like the Compass for example. But they rode nice, and for the size they are really light, and that's always a huge plus in my book. But it wasn't until I got my new Schwalbe 30mm tires that I actually realized how much I like those Gravelking 32s. Or should I say, how much I prefer having bigger tires and riding on lower pressures. I would imagine the Pro Ones would outperform the Gravelkings in terms of rolling resistance and all that scientific stuff that I have no way of checking myself. But the Gravelkings just made my riding more enjoyable. And that's really all that matters to me since I'm not racing. And like I said, I think that has more to do with tire width and lower pressures than Pro One versus Gravelking. I'm pretty sure I will try something even bigger and wider in 2020 on the Extralite wheels. I think I'm done with anything below 30, that's for sure. Then we have these Xpedo M-Force Ace titanium pedals. And these were the part that actually got my bike below the UCI weight limit, but they are probably the part on this bike that I'm most displeased with. The only thing that kept them on the bike is that weight. They are lighter than a Shimano Dura Ace road paddle, for example. They are just a few grams shy of my modded speed play pedals with titanium spindles. And I think the only other mountain bike pedal that's lighter is the Crank Brothers, whatever it's called. That's like $500 something. That's not happening. So like I mentioned in the video I made about the pedals in the beginning, they are a bit trickier to clip in and out of, and I was hoping I would just learn and get used to them. But for me at least, they are not even close to my old Shimano XT pedals in terms of clipping in and out. Add a bit of mud and they will be even more difficult to clip out of, which can end up being quite embarrassing. Never happened to me. Most pedals get affected by mud of course, but I never had this much trouble clipping out of a pedal before, so not super stoked on that. And using Shimano SPD cleats on them makes everything even worse, which you can't really blame Xpedo for, of course. But the horrible metal on metal sound you get when riding in the wet with the Shimano cleats, ooh, it's hard to swallow for a noise sensitive guy like me. I said in the first video that I had no problem using the Shimano cleats, and they work fine as long as you ride in the dry and have a bit of chain lube on the cleats and on the pedals. usually no problem. But I think it's because of the cleat plate design, you get that horrible noise from time to time, especially on the Shimano cleats. But even on the Xpedo cleats, I still feel they are way noisier than my old Shimano pedals. But I guess that's the price I have to pay for that weight saving. I still will use them, especially in the summer months, but I'm actually thinking of swapping back to my Shimano pedals at least now over the winter months, when I'm way overpacked anyway with all the winter gear. Or maybe a pair of XTR pedals is in the future. No. Then we have the Extralite wheels, and I've already done three different videos on those wheels, so I won't do another rant about all that stuff. But if you want to check those out, I will link them down in the description. I can summarize it like this: they are my favorite wheels I've ever ridden, but they're also the wheel set that's given me most problems. I wouldn't recommend them to anyone but the most extreme weight weenie out there that knows how to take care of them, and I definitely would advise against them, say if you're not on the climber type of build. Trying to not call anyone any names, but you know what I mean, hopefully. The Hope floating brake rotors though that I put on those Extralite wheels, they have been brilliant, and for me they have been performing as good if not better than my Dura Ace brake rotors in terms of braking performance. The only negative thing I could say is if you do some really hard long descents, once you come to a stop you will hear some small metal ticking noises like tick tick, and I thought this was my spokes or something at first, but I realized it actually came from the rotor as it was cooling down, and I almost burnt my finger off as well. So other than that, I absolutely love them, and they look pretty mean as well. Another thing I got the last year was this little expander plug from Aliexpress, and that was probably a video that riled up most people, I think. According to some, I was just one small bump in the road away from breaking my jaw. I won't put any more fuel on that fire. I will say it has worked without issues for me, and it's probably been the best cost per gram saved when it comes to my bike. I will just say always adhere to the torque recommendations and don't use any parts that makes you lose the confidence in your bike. That's where we're leaving that, I think. The last upgrade I did just a few weeks ago was the new seat post, the Extralite stem, seat clamp, what else? Yeah, the saddle, but I have nothing else to report on that. Everything has been working fine. I did actually get a replacement padded Lupina saddle though, since I still think that's a more comfortable saddle for the really long rides. I will probably use that bare carbon saddle sometime in the future though. So the Open Up is just about the perfect bike for me. It is kind of my current dream bike, as I'm using this as my bike for everything. It has that road style geometry, so I can ride the big long mountain rides on paved roads, which is the vast majority of my riding, but I still have that option to put on those really big tires, and I can also go on the really rough gravel on single track and stuff like that without feeling that my bike can't handle it. And it kind of strikes the perfect balance for me. There's been a lot of bikes, especially gravel bikes, coming out during the last year, and I don't really feel, for me personally, that any of those bikes kind of hits that perfect spot in the middle. It's either too much road or too much gravel. So I haven't really seen any other frame that hits that sweet spot like the Open Up for me. I'm sure they will come eventually, but for now, this frame is the one for me. Of course, I can always dream about an Open Upper, for example, if it just wasn't black. I need to stop thinking about stuff like this. So the last thing I want to cover that I haven't done any videos about is things that are surrounding my head most of the time. And that is the helmet, my glasses, and this cap. And that's three pieces I always get asked about when they show up in my videos. So where should we start? I guess we can start with the glasses. These are the Oakley EVZero with the road prism lens in the stride shape. So it's like the biggest lens you could get for this frame. Or frame, I guess it's not a frame, it's actually frameless. And that's the main point of why I really have come to love these glasses. I always ridden with sunglasses that has a frame, and I always get that frame in my eyesight. I guess it kind of depends on the shape of your face, but as soon as I'm down in the drops or something, I always see the top part of that frame. But as I start to ride with these glasses with no frame, I kind of just forget that I have them on. They're absolutely brilliant. And with no frame also means they are lighter, and they're also one of the more affordable Oakley models. If I had to complain about something, I guess it would be I can't swap lenses on them really. But like I said, they're on the cheaper spectrum, at least when it comes to Oakleys. So can always pick up a new pair. But like I said, I think I will try another brand. But my next pair would definitely be frameless as well. Then we have the helmet. This is the Met Trenta 3K Carbon. And what can I really say about it more than it fits me, and that's always the most important thing. It has to fit you well and feel comfortable on your head. A huge bonus for me is that it's one of the few helmets that doesn't make me look like a mushroom, and that's definitely a huge part why I like this so much. I won't deny that. I'm vain like that. I want to look pretty. I want to look pretty for all the birds. If you want to complain about something, like I don't really want to do, I guess you can complain that there are no kind of rotational safety technology like MIPS or something like that. And it's not the cheapest helmet either. But yeah, fits me so nice. I think the only other helmet that fit me nearly as good as this is my old Casque Mojito. But I gotta say, I prefer this helmet. It's easy to fit your glasses through the vents as well. That's not very easy on the Mojito. So I'm probably looking at picking up a different color of this exact model eventually. We'll see what happens. But as with shoes and saddles and everything, fit is very personal. Just because it fits me really well doesn't mean it necessarily would fit everyone as well. So always try before you buy if you can. The last piece that I always get asked about is my caps, and these caps are from Void Cycling. Full disclosure here, I became a Void ambassador in 2019, but I've been riding Void for years before that. And they're a Swedish brand, which is the same as the model I'm presented in, Swede. The good thing about the Void ones, the Void caps, are it seems like they're actually made for this helmet, especially when you flip out the big beak like this. And I also get asked why I always ride with a cap, even in the height of Japanese summer when it's like 40 degrees and humidity that you just want to not ride basically. And I'm one of those people that has so much testosterone that my full set of hair has kind of migrated downwards. So to protect my beautiful scalp from those damaging rays, I always wear a cap. And the good thing about these Void caps, especially this vent model, they are so thin and I can feel the wind passing through the cap and everything, so I actually get that cooling effect even when wearing these. And it will stop all the sweat from going down into my eyes or gunking up my glasses. So yeah, super stoked about these caps. And if you're interested in getting some, I will put some links down in the description as well. Let's see my notes. I think that's all I had now. Like always, if I missed something that you want to know, feel free to ask me down in the comments. Let's see what 2020 has to offer in terms of bike riding, weight saving, and other nerdy stuff. If you want to follow along on this bike nerdery journey in 2020, feel free to subscribe. And if you do, I will catch you in the next one. Peace.